Hi friends! I was supposed to go live tonight and I don't know why, but my microphone is not playing well with YouTube tonight, and so I tried going live a couple times. Video worked, microphone did not. Could not get anything to work. So I'm going to record it really quick and then get it uploaded for you because I don't want you to miss out. So this is our first card, and all of our cards today are simple, elegant, beautiful, easy cards. So let's go ahead and get started. This is card number 1. I wish I could make this better. Anyway, this card is really easy. As you can see, here are our measurements. So we have a 4 1/4 by 11 inch card base. We're going to have 2 basic white pieces, 4 by 5 1/4 for the inside, and then the front is 1 1/2 by 4 1/4. Super simple. So let's go ahead and get started. And we're actually going to do our embossing first. One of the things I did do is I cut my my basic white piece just a little bit long, because when you emboss it, it will shorten it just a little bit. Okay, I apologize about that. As I was saying, I normally will cut this a little bit longer because when you do your dry embossing, it will sometimes shrink. So we are going to use the Painted Texture 3D embossing folder. And we're going to do 2 things at the same time. We are going to do the edge of our envelope, our flap. And we're going to make sure that the fold of our envelope comes up to this line here, so that everything has some coverage. And then we're going to put this in here too. And we're going to run that through. And I have my machine over here on the side. Okay, so that's our flap and that's our front piece. And then we're going to take our inside piece and we're going to try to make this straight. If you wanted to make sure it was straight, you could grab your ruler. Hello, Otis. And let's just go ahead and we will put a pencil mark. If I knew where my pencils were. We'll put it at 1 1/2 inches. No, that's 1 1/4. And then we're going to line that pencil mark up with the outside edge of our folder so that we can see it. And then we'll just run this through. And then we have the inside done now as well. So let's go ahead and quick erase those 2 spots. Voila. Bring in our card base and our glue. Decide which way you want up. I think I want this side up. Obviously, you then put your glue on the other side. Now my card base I did score at 5.5 inches. And then folded it and burnished it. And we're going to put our piece about here. So first let's go ahead and trim that. And then before we attach it, we do want to stamp our sentiment. I wish I could make this better. And we're going to use crumb cake ink. Easy peasy. Okay. We are going to grab our Baker's Twine Essentials pack. And grab our brown. And wrap this 3 times. And tie this in a knot. All right, so my next suggestion is move your knot where you would like your bow to be if it's not already there. It's much easier to do at this step than it is to try to make it perfect before you attach anything. Okay, then we are going to grab some dimensionals. And our take your pick tool. It pulls those backings off so nicely. All right, and then line this up right above our sentiment. Okay, then we are going to, we're going to try to do this before we get to our pink string. My string fell into, oh, and that's not going to work. All right. Fell into an open ink pad. All right, so we're gonna cut that piece. I'll have to use that for something else. And I know I have just a little bit, and that's okay. I'm just going to leave it. So I'm cutting 2 pieces that, I didn't realize it was that much shorter. That's okay. Two pieces. We're going to lay them down so that our center is here at our knot. And then we're going to tie another knot. Now you can leave these strings if you'd like. I did on here. It's actually these ones, so they do kind of stand out a little bit. So we will cut them off on this one just so you can see. And then we're going to take both. We are not going to tie another knot, we're just going to create a loop around the loop and tie. We're going to be not super tight just yet because we want some kind of small little bunny ears here, and we're going to pull it like that. I do kind of want them somewhat long, so I'm going to leave those as is. And just like that, our first card is done. Okay, super simple, super easy. You can use any embossing folder that you would like, and it's done nice and quick. This is card number 2. Okay, sorry, something was happening on my screen. Needed to fix that. So this is card number 2. Before I do that, our stamp set from our first card came from Comforting Thoughts. I wish I could make this better. Okay, now onto this card. So we have our paper from Lily Pond Lane. It is a 6x6 pad. And here are our piece, our sizes, wow, the sizes for our pieces. So we have a thick white base that's 5.5 by 8.5, basic white for the inside, 4 by 5.25. Our DSP pieces are 4 by 5.25, 1/2 inch by 5.25, 2 by 6. And then we have die cuts. So I didn't give sizes for those. You can use scraps or not use scraps, 100% up to you. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with these. So you know we like to start with the envelope. I know it might look like a lot of glue on camera, but they are very thin lines. So we are going to burnish that glue, and then we're going to let that sit. Let's go ahead and attach our pieces for our inside and our front. again, burnishing. And centering that inside. Aren't these ducks just adorable? They would make a super cute scrapbook page if you went to the pond and were feeding the ducks. Okay, so now we have our basics done. Let's go ahead and do our stamping. So as you can see, I have a scrap here. We are going to use Pretty Peacock. And hello. And that is it for our stamping on this card. So our butterflies come from Painted Lavender, and our sentiment comes from Simply Said. The die cuts for our arrow shape come from the Greetings of the Seasons dies. And these die cuts come from the Painted Lavender set. So we need to die cut our butterflies. I find because of how small they are, it is definitely easier to stamp them and then cut them than it is the other way around. And then for our hello, we're actually going to bring back in our arrow. And we're going to line up our dovetail end so it's right where the point comes down from the head of the triangle. And I'm just going to use a quick piece of washi, and I'm going to put one on the other end as well, just so it doesn't go anywhere. I was going to use washi, but my washi piece disappeared, so post-it note it is. Okay. So now we have a dovetail end on both ends, and yes, I could have done that with my scissors. I agree. but sometimes I want it to be exact, right? So just the same on both sides, and I'm not going to be able to do that with my scissors. All right. So I'm just going to, I don't know if you guys could hear that. That was a helicopter, like super low. All right, so we're going to put this about 1/3 of the way down our card, hopefully straight. And then we're going to glue down our crumb cake piece. And I'm just adding some glue on the center stem part. And my fingers like to get in the way, so I tend to use tweezers quite often. All right. Just so these don't go flying or attach themselves to something I don't want them to, let's go ahead and just glue them down real quick. What? Why? That was weird. I don't have any glue on my fingers. But I was like, no, no, no. Okay, so before we glue this guy down, so these two are different, but they cut from one die piece. So I didn't want to waste anything. So this one, we have our bow at the very bottom of all of our blooms. And this one, we could do that, but that makes it taller than I want it. So I'm thinking I will put this here, and I'm going to tie my string right here. So same package of twine, but we're going to grab the white. If you wanted to use the Very Vanilla, I would suggest doing a Very Vanilla base, and it would still look super, super cute. Okay, that's going to be way too long. Let's make that a little bit shorter. So we're not going to tie the first knot like you would if you were tying a shoe. We're going to just do the loops and tie it. And then we're going to make the loops smaller by holding the center knot and pulling until they're smaller than we want them, so that we can then grab them and pull them tight. That was a shorter end than I wanted, so we did the same on the other side so they're at least equal. Is it perfect? Nope, but that's okay. Because we are not going for perfection, we're going for with heart. Right? Adding some glue to our stem. So I do want these two stems to overlap at the bottom. How it goes elsewise, is just how it goes. Alright, so then we're just going to trim off what overhangs. And then add our bling. So this is the 2426 In Color Shimmer Gems. So these are the ones that match our paper perfectly. So pretty. Okay, and last little bit, trimming our envelope. Sorry, ended up a little bit off camera there. That was unintentional. All right, and that is our card number 2. Great, easy peasy, so pretty, so fun. And now for our piece de resistance, our Christmas card. So fun, so simple, so beautiful, and I love it. So these are our pieces. So we have a thick white base, 5.5 by 8.5. Basic white pieces, 4 by 5.25, 2 of them, 4 by 3.5. Our DSP pieces are 2 by 4, half by 4, and 2 by 6 for our envelope. Remember, always measure your envelope flaps before you cut. And then pieces for your die cutting. Again, I did not measure those. I don't know about you, but I have a literal drawer of white scraps, so I will pull from that and see whatever fits where, as you could tell by the piece that I cut the butterflies from. So let's get started. Now I will tell you that I am using this die. This is a Paper Pumpkin add-on, Merry Tags and More. Last I checked, it was gone. So you cannot get it anymore, but that means that lots of people did get it. So I wanted to show you something that you could do with it. If you don't have that one, I was going to show you, but it, oh, hello, this one, I already had it, that's why I can't find it. But you could use maybe this die and shorten it a little bit, or just put it up a little bit higher, and you would get kind of a similar effect, or a similar look. So let's go ahead and do our things here. So, start with our envelope. This DSP paper comes from the, what is it, All Occasions paper pack, I think is what it's called. Let's see. Iconic Celebrations. I was not even close. But you have seen me use this a few different times, in a few different cards, in a few different ways. Alright, let's go ahead and do our stamping. I am going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat and Mossy Meadow ink. Trying to make sure to stay in screen here for you. Now my sentiment is on my block slightly off center, unintentionally. So hopefully I got it straight. At least close enough. All right, so that is that. Let's go ahead and just to make it kind of simple and use things, we are going to use one of the 4 by 5 1/4 pieces, and we are going to stamp our greenery. And we're going to stamp our leaves with Old Olive. And we're going to stamp this kind of in the center. Slightly above center. And then our stems in Mossy Meadow. I'm going to turn this because that will be slightly easier to line up. Let's see how good I did. It's a little bit harder because the camera is literally where my head wants to be. All right, from here it doesn't look too bad, survey says. Oh, not bad at all. That's pretty good. Okay, that is our stamping. Now, to save time, I did already stamp it and cut it out. Okay, so just pretend that we cut this out for the video. Right, take your die, run it through your machine. Actually, you know what? Let's just do it. Okay. I know I said let's just do it, but look, I did not line that up very well at all. But you know what? We're going to cut part of it anyway, so we're going to call this good. So let's do a couple more steps of prep, and then we can attach things together. All right, scissors. We need to, we're going to trim first. We're going to trim off this group. Okay, that's going to be group number 1. And we don't actually have to trim off more than that, but we are going to trim our stem off. Okay, so we have these two cut like this. Okay, now this one we are going to, let me refresh my memory. So we are cutting off these two. So I know originally when I did this, I cut from this little corner to this little corner. Let's move that so you can see. So there's a little corner here, there's a little corner here. So originally I cut that, and then I needed to cut more. So here, let's go ahead and cut that. So that's what I did originally. And then we're going to keep this one, but we're going to get rid of these two. So we're just going to follow this stem up, leaving a little bit of white to the right side of the stem, but cutting off those leaves completely, and then trying to line up again with the natural curve of that die cut. Okay. And now we're ready to assemble. So let's do the easy one first. Oh, we're not ready. We need one more thing. We are doing some more embossing. One more thing of embossing, the Timber 3D embossing folder. Now this is 3.5 by 4, so we want the 4 obviously to be on the bottom. I want my timber running up and down the card, so my 4 inches is going to be along the side as opposed to the bottom of the folder. So if you consider the fold of the embossing folder at the top, we want our 4-inch side to be right and left, not top and bottom. Okay, so like before, decide which, actually, not doing that piece first. Let's do, oh gosh, I was going to just do everything all wrong. So 4-inch piece on the uncut 4 by 5.25. Okay, now set that aside. I am going to go ahead and add my glue directly on here on this piece. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm going to do the top. Let's go with half. That's going to be too much, but that's okay. And we're going to glue our DSP to the left edge and the top edge. And then go ahead and burnish that, of course. Okay, now I'm going to add some glue onto my timber piece. And I am going to align with the left edge again, and then of course the bottom instead of the top. Your pieces will overlap slightly. And that's okay. I should have put down my silicone sheet, and I did not. Hopefully I don't mess up anything. Gosh, I gotta stop doing that. Okay, and then we are going to attach our ribbon, and we are just going to overlap that and use some washi or some Scotch tape or something, anything, because we are going to glue this flat to the card. We are not going to pop this up, although you could. If you wanted to pop up your card, you 100% could. All right, let's go ahead and add this piece to the front of our card. That way we can stop being worried about sticking it to things that we're not supposed to. Now, you could easily do this without having that white piece underneath. I find it just helps line things up really simply, and it helps give some nice weight to your card that isn't overwhelming. Okay, so we are going to add 3 dimensionals onto the back side of this. 2 on the bottom, 1 not quite center. I know you're like, what, Michelle? Only 3? Only 3. Okay. And then on our little white piece that we cut off, we're going to put some mini dimensionals on all 3 of these leaves. All right. Now, we are going to take our ribbon, and this is the silver and white ribbon. Silver and white sheer ribbon. And we are going to feed this under our ribbon on our card and through our tag hole. And we want, what, probably about 6 inches, just short-ish. I'm guesstimating here because I didn't measure it before. And then, like all of our other bows so far, we are just going to loop. We are not tying a knot. We are just loop and around and push through. Okay, and when you pull, you want to try to line up your bows with your ribbon that is there already. This is going to be one that you finagle just a little bit more than normal. A, because it's a 1/2 inch ribbon, and B, because it is a sheer ribbon. So remember, holding down on the knot will help keep it a little bit tighter. Voila. Trim that off. And trim that a little bit. And our bow is there. Now we are going to attempt, you know what, we're not going to, we're just going to leave it right there. If you need to, you should be able to move it, and you might have to retighten your bow. If you do that, that's okay. Alright, so we are going to tuck these underneath here, and we're just going to give a few dots of glue. One reason why we didn't actually attach our dimensionals just yet, but now we are going to. So again, take your pick tool. It's super handy. Even if it decides to be difficult right as I say that. So when you do glue this down with your dimensionals, you want to make sure that your tag stays within the dimensions of your card base. Alright, last couple steps here. We are going to take our greenery and we're going to make it look like it's coming through the tag hole. You can tuck it in a little bit depending on how much you've cut it. You might need to cut it a little bit more. You shouldn't need, I mean, obviously once you get to some degree you can't uncut it any, so kind of keep that in mind. And we're just going to lay it down so our sentiment can still be seen. It can, like in this case, it can go over some of it. You clearly can still read what that word is. And then we are going to take our tiny piece of greenery, well, in this case, white greenery, and we are actually going to tuck that in so that it covers that the stamped greenery that we didn't quite put into that tag hole. So our white stem will go into the hole over top of that piece. So if this is my white stem and this is the stamped greenery, it will go over top of the stem into the hole itself. Alright, and last but not least, we have our rhinestone basic jewels. These things, if you guys were a close to my heart maker and you loved your biddies, this is your thing. This right here. All right, 1, 2, 3. Now, the last step is the cutting of the envelope flap. And just like that, we have card number 3. I really do like this card. It is so pretty. If you wanted to just use this paper pack to make this card style, but wanted a little bit of variety, let me show you. So on this front side, because everything is two-sided, you could do this piece, which is a cherry cobbler. You could do, there we have the green piece that we used. If you wanted a not traditional color Christmas, we have this one, and that is what, Moody Mauve? Let's see. Moody Mauve. Woohoo! I'm learning. So the berries are Moody Mauve. You of course have some snowflakes, some pecan pie Christmas trees. I mean, you could do these stars as well, but I'm not sure. Maybe. And then, let's see, the back side of those papers. So we have trees, we have some plaid, we have some different trees in that Moody Mauve color again. We have some Misty Moonlight and Mossy Meadow stripes. And let's see what else. We have some just green stripes. That would be a good New Year's. Peace and love. You could use a different stamp in that set. So you could make many of these cards. So I used 1.5 pieces to make 2 cards. Because they are all 2-inch strips, and depending on how you're cutting it, if you did a 2-inch strip, that gives you 4x6. If you cut that 4x6 into 4x4, that gives you 3 pieces that are 4x4. And then you would need 1 more piece of 2x6, and then 2 pieces of 4x4, but you could use that 3rd piece and use that for your 1/2-inch pieces, and that makes things go a little bit further even more. So thank you so much for taking the time to view the video today. Let me tell you the stamps for this. We have Greetings of the Season for our sentiment, and Golden Greenery for our greenery. Funny how that works. So let me bring back out some of our cards. And we are super zoomed in, so you don't really get to see all of the cards all at one time. So thank you so much for watching the video. I do apologize for not being able to be live. Technology is its own beast sometimes. So I hope you all have a wonderful evening, daytime, whenever it is you're watching, and I will see you all next week. Bye.